Good news. Not all Texans are unaware that posting the Ten Commandments in a public school is not only un-American, it's un-Christian.
The Ten Commandments are foundational to our American education system and to our American judicial system. The problem is that for the last several decades, expression of that historical heritage has been restricted. Senate Bill 1515 would require Texas public elementary and secondary schools to display the Ten Commandments in each classroom. Senate Bill 1515 restores those liberties that were lost and reminds students all across Texas of the importance of fundamental foundation of American law and Texas law.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Representative Noble? Representative Talarico.
I have lots of questions about this bill. Remember the Sabbath day. Are you aware the legislature is scheduled to meet this Saturday?
I am aware of that.
So that would be violating the
I contend that is you're right.
Every time on this committee that we try to teach students values like empathy or kindness, we're told we can't because that's the parents' role. Every time on this committee that we try to teach basic sex education to keep our kids safe, we're told that's the parents' role. But now you're putting religious commandments, literal commandments, in our classrooms, and you're saying that's the state's role. Why is that not the parents' role?
What we're talking about here is a historical, foundational document to our nation's education history and our judicial history.
Would you be comfortable with adding language to receive parental consent from all the parents of students in the classroom before putting it up?
I would not.
But you don't want parental consent when it comes to students receiving religious commandments?
Again, I think that these are foundational to being a good citizen and being a good member of a classroom.
I say this to you as a fellow Christian. This bill, to me, is not only unconstitutional, it's not only un-American, I think it is also deeply un-Christian. And I say that because I believe this bill is idolatrous, I believe it is exclusionary, and I believe it is arrogant. And those three things, in my reading of the gospel, are diametrically opposed to the teachings of Jesus. A religion that has to force people to put up a poster to prove its legitimacy is a dead religion. And it's not one that I want to be a part of. We both follow a teacher who said, don't let the law get in the way of loving your neighbor. Loving your neighbor is the most important law. I would submit to you that our neighbor also includes the Hindu student, the Buddhist student, and an atheist student who sits in a classroom. And my question to you is, does this bill truly love those students?
I'm going to go a different direction than I think you're trying to lead me. This document was in classrooms prior to that. So I contend that we are righting a wrong, not causing one.
The last thing I'll say is I just worry this is what gives us religious people a bad name. That instead of living out the way of Jesus, we're instead imposing our beliefs on other people. Instead of leading by example, we're leading by mandates. And so I'm very offended by this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.